We had a very happy occasion this morning, and some of you may have followed it online. I ordained 3 new deacons for the Diocese of Caloocan. I hope you don't mind that for this evening, I will just share the 4 brief points in the second part of my homily, which I gave at the ordination this morning. The first 3, I believe, are applicable to all of us. And the 4th, to all men who are listening to this. I told our deacons to pick up 4 things from the example of Saint Joseph. Number 1, never allow yourselves to be carried away by sheer impulse or reflex reaction when making important decisions. Bakit? Well, almost always siguradong papalpak, because doing so usually ends up in a disaster. Make it a point always to listen to what God is trying to say to us in various circumstances. Pope Francis popularized the sleeping Saint Joseph nung dumalaw siya sa Pilipinas in the year 2015. He said, whenever he found himself preoccupied with serious matters that required an urgent decision, he would write them on a piece of paper and put them under the image of the sleeping Saint Joseph. It was his way of saying, please, take care of my concerns just for this night, so that God can also speak to me while I am sleeping, as He spoke to you. He took an inspiration, or He took as inspiration, the Gospel today, and the 2 other instances in the same Gospel of Matthew, where it was while Joseph was asleep that the angel of the Lord spoke to him in a dream and guided him in his confusion. When we are tempted to decide impulsively, like when we're angry or depressed or in a state of panic, just sleep over it for a while. Otherwise, you might regret the decision and you cannot undo it anymore. Second point, do not be ashamed of being an assistant. Not everyone has to take the center stage. There are always supporting actors and actresses in the drama of salvation history. There are also bit players and backstage workers. Ang lahat ay importante. The center stage is too small. Hindi pwedeng lahat ng artista ay magpiprimadonna. The stage is too small for too many actors behaving like prima donnas. We each have our proper roles to play. We have to follow the director. Not all in this pandemic crisis will serve as frontliners. Equally important are the sideliners and the backliners who are at the margins, just quiet, but as actively participating. We need not call attention to ourselves all the time. God's attention should be quite enough. Number 3, have faith in God who has faith in you. However limited you think your powers might be. Well, the Lord is not calling superheroes, you know. There is nothing that God is asking of us that cannot be done if we are tempted, even if we are tempted to believe that what is being asked of us is impossible. Yes, well, maybe for you it is impossible, but not for God, who alone can do it through our flawed and weak humanity. Natatandaan niyo yung sinabi ni St. Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. One day daw, he was despairing about his own weakness, which he called a thorn in the flesh. And 3 times he begged the Lord, Lord, please, get rid of my weakness. But the Lord answered him and said, my grace is enough for you, for in weakness power reaches perfection. It is when I am weak that I am strong. And St. Paul also said in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, this treasure we possess in earthen vessel, to make it clear to us that its surpassing power comes from God and not from us. You see, the Lord can write straight with crooked lines. Siya ang author. He is the one writing the story of redemption. So He will make sure that it will have a happy ending. Meaning, if it is not yet happy, then it's not yet the end. He knows what He is doing. So, kalma lang. Stay calm. And last point, number 4. At ito, para sa mga lalaki. I address this to the men among you who are listening right now. Even if all people need the love of a father, you know that not all people are fortunate enough to have a father. Ang swerte natin kung lumaki tayo sa normal na pamilya. May father, may mother, you know, happy together. That is not true of all families. It is not true of all families. And so, I beg of you, please, mga lalaki, be generous with your spiritual fatherhood like Joseph. He responded to the call to be a father to the Son of God, who was not even his biological child. I know you love your children, the fathers among you. But there are many children who are unloved by fathers because they have no father. I have met a lot of people who have also grown into healthy human beings, even if they happen to have a dysfunctional father or an absentee father or no father. This is the case with many Filipino families nowadays who are deprived of the presence of a biological father because they have to make a living abroad by force of circumstances. A lot of fathers leave precisely because they love their family, and it is the only way for them to provide for their families, even if they have to endure loneliness abroad. Kaya can you imagine the many fatherless, the many fatherless people in the Philippines? Pag ganon, noon kailangan ng mga uncles, mga grandfathers, teachers, priests, etc. They are called to be extra generous in extending fatherly care, in extending fatherly attention, fatherly love, in allowing themselves to be the missing father figure that many people do not have. Kasi kahit walang father, pwede naman kung may father figure. Pero, yung mga tao na hindi nakatikim o nakaranas ng kalinga ng Ama would know that there is something missing. I ended my homily this morning warning our new deacons never to exploit or abuse or take advantage of the filial affection and love that many people might express for them, that they should constantly or consistently respond as spiritual fathers and keep themselves from turning into predators wanting to beget their own biological children. It is paradoxical, I know, I said to them, that you are renouncing marriage, but your vocation and mission is fatherhood, like that of Saint Joseph to Jesus. You will not have children whom you will call your own, but like Abraham, in our second reading, God will tell you He will give you children as numerous as the stars of heaven, as numerous as the grains of sand on the seashore. Wala ako ni isang biological child. But believe me, I have thousands of children calling me Father.